Project Green, or God reminds everyone to enjoy nature. My name is Dr. Anacleto Millendez, the founder of the Beautiful Heart Foundation and the medical director of the CHARM, or the Center for Holistic, Alternative, and Restorative Medicine. And with me is another advocate for Project Green. I would like him to introduce himself. Sir, good afternoon.
Hello, my name is Dan Lutz. I've been involved with the medical marijuana industry in California for over 10 years, and was involved with actually a lot of the efforts to legalize it in communities by creating regulations for it and helping the cities draft regulations.
Well, I also support groups, nonprofit organizations in the San Francisco Bay Area as an advocate for the medical use and even recreational use of marijuana. The last 10 years was very exciting, especially that I have discovered that some of my associates are already in the business. But for our viewers, let us just give them the background or how it was legalized in California, particularly.
Well, Proposition 215 was passed.
And this was
1998.
Okay.
And then they were, well, I'm sorry, 96. By 98 is when it actually started to get the first doctors writing scripts. There's no prescriptions.
It's just scripts. Okay.
Because prescriptions are federal, right? And so you couldn't have any sort of prescription. So you have to write a script, basically just a doctor agreeing that it's good for you. And that's all it was. And if a doctor agreed, then you could basically go ahead and grow your own or collectively grow together with a group. And that's why they call it a collective of patients. And that they would then grow together and then dispense the medicines to themselves through dispensaries.
And back then, can you mention those medical conditions that would benefit out of the use of marijuana?
Oh, it's quite extensive. Pain, nausea, inflammation, the people with glaucoma, they would be using it as well because it reduces the swelling. Also, MS, multiple sclerosis, it actually is pretty much a miracle on how much it would actually affect them. Because and literally, you could actually cure multiple sclerosis.
Right.
But this is one of the things that does not come into the Western medicine, because curing something does not mean there's a lot of money in it anymore. So they just keep treating and treating and treating. But the poor people that have MS, it's basically just it's not a neurological disorder from the standpoint of that they can't find the solution, the problem with it. It's basically too much iron deposits being left in the brain, and that short circuits the brain.
Right.
And so a German team actually figured out a cure was actually just like they did for the angioplasty for the heart. Well, they just did it for the brain and actually increased the blood flow. And what does marijuana do? It increases blood flow.
Yeah.
And that's why it actually would take people who were basically like a piece of furniture, not even able to move, and within 20 minutes of having oil, they actually have blood flow that creates enough of brain activity so that they can actually function properly. So there was many things. Cancers get dissolved by it because there's a particular chemical that your body is missing that tells the cells to self-destruct. And those cells would actually go ahead and look for that substance, and they won't have it, so that they'll have it. But it's in the marijuana. But you have to create that medicine by the oils from the plant.
Right.
And sometimes it's also by not heating it, depending on the particular ailment. So heating creates a different types of chemicals in the plant. So if you're going to have heated or non-heated oils, there's different effects based upon what you're looking for. So there's so many different uses for it. But a lot of
but with last year's election, I think they added recreational use.
Yeah, California became recreational.
Yeah.
And I have a very good friend who's a addiction medicine specialist, and for years he was giving me the white papers from the yearly meeting that they would have. And it was funny to watch it transition over a span of 5 years from where it's like the old line is it's horrible, it's the worst thing in the world, it's going to kill you, everything the worst.
Yeah.
And then it changed slowly to the point after 5 years it was it should be readily available as aspirin.
Right.
No doctor should be involved in even telling people they need it or not. And any side effects there are far very minimal compared to any of the benefits that come from it. So they completely flipped over in a period of 5 years, and so there's a particular amount of push to reveal the medical benefits of the plant. But now it's all switching to recreational, right? Because it's actually much more beneficial as a recreational product than it would be, say, alcohol. And alcohol has been the main problem.
Right.
Alcohol has been...
Especially if combined with...
Well, combining it, yeah, it was pretty funny. When I was in high school, I used to see these Dare commercials that they'd show all the kids, right? And so it was pretty funny. It said, here's an obstacle course, and you have to drive your car through all the little orange cones, and then you have to drive around. And they'd say, okay, now here, have a shot of whiskey, all right? And you drink the shot, and you drive around, no problem, all right? Oh, have another shot of whiskey, okay, drive around, okay, no. Here's a third shot of whiskey, right? And then they go, oh, and they kind of bump or graze one here or there, and they said, okay, now smoke this joint. And they smoke it up, and then they run over all the them. So what did that show? They're just creating fear about this plant, when this plant was basically, it's just a plant, and it's used...
Just another herb.
Just another herb
Yeah.
that you get benefits out of so many other herbs. This one just happened to have a lot more of the same chemicals that your body uses. So the chemicals, for example, that are used...
But in my younger years, I also hated marijuana. You know, in my college days, I thought it can create hallucinations or, or even aggression.
Well, most of the problems that come out of that are associated with marijuana use are actually not from the marijuana. It's from the way it was grown. Because of it being illegal, people would have to hide how they do it, and it was so much value in the product that if it was infested with with insects or anything to damage mold, they would use such chemicals on it to kill off the insects or the mold, and then that chemical was what was causing the hallucinations and the other thing. Yeah, there is an effect from THC.
Yeah.
But that effect is exactly the same chemical that comes from laughter. So when you laugh,
Yeah, the same.
you create that
Yeah.
same chemical. So why is it illegal to laugh?
Right. Right.
I can't answer that
What
question.
about aggression?
Well, we were
What
talking
people
about
can be aggressive without even taking anything.
Well, it's pretty fun. I remember, and I used to go to the Los Angeles City Council because I was the president of the Los Angeles Collective Association, and we formed this group to actually interface with the government. And I remember at one of the city council meetings, the chief of police stood up and he basically said, we have no problems with people that are using marijuana based on violence. It's the people who drink. The alcohol is what where the problem